Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Juice Baseball channel, and welcome officially to the start of our MLB The Show 23 franchise rebuild. Now, obviously, last MLB The Show cycle, we did the Cincinnati Reds, which is my favorite team in the major leagues. But this year, we're going to shake things up. We're not going to be the Reds again. That would be boring. We are going to go to the American League and try to help get this team back into their winning ways. We are going to be the Kansas City Royals for this rebuild. Now, I know in my Reds rebuild towards the end of it, I was kind of teasing the team that I was going to be. I said I had it narrowed down to between like the Royals, the Tigers, and the Nationals. And I was really debating between the Royals and the Nationals because both of them are kind of bad. The Nationals obviously a lot worse, but the Royals, I mean, coming off of that World Series that they won in 2015, I think, is when they won that World Series, because then the Cubs win in 2016, Astros in 2017, and then so on and so on. So coming off of that World Series in 2015, ever since then, they have not been the same. They've got some good young players on this team. We'll go through them in a second. But a lot of those guys that were on that championship team are no longer there or even no longer in the league. Lorenzo Cain, I think, is about the only one left. Maybe, I guess Mike Moustakas counts, but does he really? But you got a lot of guys on that team. They were a very budget-friendly they were kind of the next generation of the Moneyball strategy, where you go for team-friendly contracts for guys that hit for contact, not necessarily for power, who get on base very efficiently and score a lot of runs that way. You don't hit a lot of home runs. You don't get a lot of strikeouts. That's kind of where they were in 2015 when they won the World Series. But none of those guys are really here except for Salvador Perez. He is about the only guy, I think. I guess we'll take a look at the roster in a second and see if that's true. But I'm pretty sure Salvador Perez is the only guy from that team that is still, at least major guy from that team, that is still on this year, or on this team all these years later. So I want to get these Royals back to where they were in 2015. It hasn't been that long. I mean, it's 7 years ago? 7 or 8 years ago that's happened. So I mean, that's a little under a decade. I mean, that's a long time, really, but it hasn't, in the terms of baseball, it's not been crazy long since they won a World Series. But they don't have crazy amounts of money. As you can see, their budget is $139 million. They have some really good young players, and I'm excited to get started with this team. This is going to follow a similar format to how the Reds did in MLB The Show 22. And I do want to say this right off the bat. If you're coming to this series expecting ultra realism, where I don't trade for rarely any superstars, we don't go for any young prospects, and we don't do it, no, that's not the series. I talked about this in my Reds series. You can go back and watch it if you're intrigued by it. I'm the type of guy who wants to have fun when he's rebuilding a team and wants to see crazy things happen. So I'm all about the unrealistic options. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to go absolutely crazy in year number one and trade for like Aaron Judge and Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto and all these guys, Max Scherzer, all these great players in year one. Maybe that happens over time in the series. We, after a few seasons, have accumulated all those guys in individual trades and free agency and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but I'm not going to go uber crazy in year one and just trade for all these crazy top talent guys off the bat. That's not what's going to happen. But I'm not saying that it won't happen over time. Like, I do want to trade for Juan Soto at some point, or maybe sign him, because he's going to be a free agent in a couple seasons. I do want to go after Aaron Judge. I do want to go after guys of that level, and they may end up on the team. So if that's not your thing, if you don't want to see unrealistic rebuilds over a long period of time, then there's plenty, almost every single MLB The Show channel on YouTube does realistic stuff. So if that's your thing, there is a wide majority of content for you guys to watch. But if you're interested, if it piques your interest in seeing some crazy things happen, some things you never thought you would ever see in an MLB The Show game or in a franchise in general, then I'm your guy. So I just wanted to say that out there. Don't be coming into this series expecting me not to make crazy moves or sign crazy players in free agency or go after amazing guys, because that's what I'm going to do. I want to see crazy stuff happen. I want to do fun things in the rebuild, and I want to win as fast as possible, and I want to win as many as possible, or as much as possible. So that's what I'm going to do. I just wanted to lay that out there right now, that this series, and none of my series, on my main channel, on my third channel, or my second channel, and on this channel, I don't do realistic stuff. That's not my thing. I can. I'm not incapable of doing realistic stuff, but I tend to lean more towards the unrealistic stuff, the fantasy stuff, because that's more fun to me. I think I have more fun doing that. So I just wanted to get that out there so you're not expecting anything. Let's get into the actual rebuild here, because there's not going to be any gameplay in this episode. This is just the introduction episode to try to get you guys familiar with the team and kind of give the plan of what I'm thinking into the future of the Kansas City Royals, because they have some good young guys. We just got to get them developed, really. I mean, they've got some good young guys up on the big league roster already, so it's not like they don't have anybody up there. But as you can see, they're 26th ranked in the major leagues with a $139 million budget. They are first in speed, but everything else is in the high 20s, so except for defense, but that's still pretty high. So we're going to use the Kansas City Royals. Our ownership expectations for the first contract is to reach the postseason and finish 500, over 500 every single year. So I think we can do that. I don't know, though. I really don't know. We're going to keep GM contracts on because I want to try to earn my contract. I want to try to earn my way around. So we're going to keep GM contracts on. Fantasy draft will be off, but we will. One fun thing that has been added into MLB The Show 23 that I want to incorporate into this series is non-active players from various leagues in the free agency pool. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to go out and sign every single one of them, but I want to have the option. So this includes like Munetaka Murakami and Roki Sasaki and guys that like that of the World Baseball Classic this past summer, or this past spring, I should say. I want to go into that and have those guys in the free agency to have the option to bring them in. I might sign one or two of them, but I'm not going to go in and sign every single one of them. I want them to be spread out across the league so they have a fair chance of developing. And I just want them to be in there because more than likely within the next year or two, they're going to be on major league rosters anyway. So might as well have them in the free agency. Oops, I didn't mean to back out there. So non-active free agents are going to be in. CPU roster control. I'm not going to have any control on anybody else's roster. They can do whatever they want. CPU trading, they can trade between themselves, as always. Ignore budgets will be off. Now, I'm historically not a big fan of having a budget. If you follow me from my main series on my main channel, you know that I don't like the budget, but for this series, we will follow a budget. Forced trades will be off. I won't be able to force anybody to come here, like I won't be able to force Ronald Acuna here for a D potential 30-year-old player. Designator hitter will be on because the DH is universal now, and the extra inning runner will be on because that is basically going to be in effect from now on in Major League Baseball in real life. So that is how we are going to run this series. These settings cannot be changed once we start. So this is what we are going to run with. If you're ever curious, just come back to this very first episode and see what I did. So advance. Now, I am going to have everything on manual. Normally, I set the scouting to auto. But this year, since they changed up the scouting and they added a bunch of different stuff, I want to get my hands on that, at least for the first couple of seasons. So I'm going to have that on manual. I want to do a little bit of scouting myself, so that's how it's going to work there. Usually, I set scouting on auto because in the old days, in last year and in previous seasons, it was just the basic scouting, so I didn't really need to think too much about it. So it's going to be on manual this year, and I'm going to have all this stuff on manual as well, because obviously I want to have control of all that stuff and I want to have control of all this stuff. So advance on that. We are going to jump to the regular season, since by the time this video is coming out, the regular season is here. So we're going to jump to the regular season. Don't need spring training. The spring training videos will start next season. So once we get done with the off season, then the video after that will be the spring training highlights like we did with the Reds. So that's how that's going to work. But let's get familiar with this team and with this organization because we're going to be with them for a while. So here is Salvador Perez, obviously the one guy from that team in 2015 that is still here. Had a really good season that year, but as you can see, not really a guy who's going to hit for a ton of power. I mean, he had 27 home runs. He did have 48 home runs in 2021. I guess I shouldn't say he doesn't hit for a lot of power. That's kind of disrespectful to him, but the majority of his career, he doesn't hit for a lot of power, but does have a World Series ring, and he's going to be our catcher probably until he retires. I feel like I owe him that. So he will be our catcher until he retires or until he gets super low overall. It's kind of, think of Salvador Perez as the Joey Votto of this series. Now, you remember from last year in the Reds series, Joey Votto, I kept him on the team because he's a Reds legend, and he retired with the team. We extended his contract, and he stayed there for the entirety of the contract, I think, and retired after it was up. But for this one, we don't have to extend Salvi because he's probably not going to be a high enough overall by the end of his contract. So either he's going to retire or he's just going to be a guy on the bench for us at the end of his career. But he will be here. He's not going to get traded. He's not going to do anything. He won't be down in AAA. He's going to be up here in the big leagues for his entire final act of his career because he is a Royals legend, and I feel like I need to respect him like that. So he will be the Joey Votto of this series. Vinny Pasquantini. What a awesome guy to have on the team. I'm excited to have him as the first baseman, at least for a little bit. I don't know how he's going to develop in this series. He may end up being very good for us, or he may not be. That's also a very, very likely possibility. You never know. And this is the first time I've really gone in depth with the progression in MLB The Show 23. So I don't really know how certain players are going to fare down the road. So we'll see. We'll have to find out as we move forward. But for at least for this first season, or maybe for the first half of the season, he's going to be the first baseman, and maybe he turns into something. Bobby Witt Jr., one of the young guys, young prospects that I was talking about that has a bright, bright future here. His stats look pretty good. His contract is obviously pretty good. He's got whatever it's called, restrictions for the next couple of seasons. So we've got him under team control for a while, and he's going to be here. I can't guarantee that he's going to be like a starter later down the road. Like if you come back to this episode in a couple of months when we're 4 seasons deep or 5 seasons deep, I can't guarantee that he's going to be the starting shortstop of that team. We might have moved on from him in terms of getting a higher overall. I just hope he develops. Brady Singer is one of the starting pitchers that we are going to have to focus on. He's only 26 years old, A potential, 79 overall. The ace of the team, at least for right now. I mean, we could have Zach Greinke be the opening day starter. I guess that's a possibility. I don't really like Zach Greinke that much anymore. I liked him back when he was younger, when he was on the Royals initially back here in these days. But right now, I'm not really feeling it. So he's probably going to be here for half a season. Maybe we move on from him, maybe not. I don't know. His contract is also kind of expensive, 8.5. I mean, that's not crazy, but he's a free agent after the season, so do we even bring him back? I don't know. He's 39. Scott Barlow, 30 years old, 78 overall. Not a fan of that so much. I mean, he's a fine closing pitcher. I don't have a problem with that, but I have a closing pitcher in mind that I want to bring in. So that is, he's probably going to be a casualty for that. Aroldis Chapman, I do love me some Aroldis Chapman. He is past his prime at this point. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big Reds fan, so these years in the Reds, he was awesome. But then he moves to Chicago, wins that World Series with the Cubs, then goes to the Yankees. And then I'm going to keep him because I like Aroldis Chapman. I don't know how much he's going to factor into the team, but I am. And last year, funny enough, we did bring Aroldis Chapman back to the Reds in one of the off seasons. He didn't last very long, but he was there for the Reds. Another young, promising, up-and-coming player is MJ Melendez, a really good young catcher. If you watched my main channel series of the Chicago Cougars on MLB The Show 22, MJ Melendez ended up developing into a fantastic player. He was our end-game catcher, and he was really awesome. So I'm excited to see how he develops in this year's game. Edward, I don't know why I said his name weird. Edward Olivares is a 27-year-old outfielder, I should say. Just a right fielder / I guess he can play everywhere. I don't know really much about him. I hope that he can turn into something. Maybe not. Maybe he becomes a trade piece. I don't know. Other than those top guys that we mentioned, there's not a whole lot to be excited about. Obviously, we do have Asa Lacy, who is a guy you could be excited about. Only a B potential, though. If we keep going down the starting pitcher depth here in the minors, there's not a whole lot to be excited about. A couple B potential guys. Frank Mazzucato could be something at B potential. We'll see how he develops. I'll put him in AA for the start of this season. We'll see how he turns out. But nothing really else intrigues me in this team. So we're going to have to work on the minor league affiliates here. Another former Red, Amir Garrett. I forgot he was here, really. But the relief pitchers, there's not a whole lot of promise down here. Maybe if you're a Royals fan and you see this and you think that I'm disrespecting somebody that you think is in your minor leagues, obviously you know a little bit more about the team than I do. So let me know if there's a guy on this roster that is a young prospect or somebody that I need to focus on a little bit more, because I don't really know much about these younger guys as we get farther down here. I don't know if there's somebody here that maybe doesn't get a lot of love that probably should, or is an up-and-coming guy that I need to focus on. Let me know if you're a Royals fan and you want me to respect your team a little bit more. I respect your team. Closing pitchers we talked about, Scott Barlow. Catcher, we got Perez and Melendez, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot. Carter Jensen is here. You might remember him from the Reds series. I'm hoping he can turn into something. He did turn into a pretty decent prospect in the Reds series. Nick Prado is also here. I don't really know what to do with Nick Prado. He's B potential, but I've used him in MLB The Show before. I don't really get on with him very well. I don't know what it is. We'll see what happens to him. Second base, there's not a whole lot of promise here. We've got Samad Taylor, who is a wonderful utility guy. Look at all those positions he can play. He can play literally everywhere. Okay, so that's good to know. But is he going to be here for the long run? Maybe. We don't know. We don't really know. Nate Eaton is the starting third baseman. Don't really like that, but he's also a very good utility player. See, this is what I'm talking about. The Royals, even all these years later, still like those guys that are such utility guys that can play almost everywhere at any given time. Nicky Lopez, a promising player. I wouldn't say young player at this point because he's been in the league for four seasons. I guess 3 seasons now. But he's still, he's 28. That's not super old. I guess it's on the older end of MLB times, but you've seen older guys that have broken out and had really good seasons. But Nicky Lopez, he might even start over Nate Eaton, I guess. That's also a possibility. We talked about Bobby Witt. We've got Austin Charles here, who is a massive human being, 6'6", 215. Okay, I like the sound of that, but he can only play shortstop. He'll probably be up in the AA team for this season. Kyle Isbell, not a big fan of Kyle Isbell, but maybe he does something. I don't know, good fielder, I guess. Darian Blanco, not really going to be much for us at 63 and already 29 years old. Not really a whole lot of depth at the outfield spots. You got Jackie Bradley Jr., who is his prime is past him. I remember watching him in these years with the Red Sox. He was a pretty fun player to watch then. But we got an F prospect. You got to be kidding me. Gavin Cross, F prospect. You got to be kidding. Or F potential. That's crazy. And then the right fielders, Franmil Reyes, the Franimal, makes his way over here from the Guardians. He's got a lot of power. He's not got anything else, really. There is Suli Matthias. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He is a good young prospect. I'm excited to see how he develops. Tucker Bradley as well. Probably not as much because he's got D potential, C potential. So we'll see how it goes. This team has got a lot against it. I will say that. There's a lot going against this team. But if we take a look at our budget, we have $50 million in the available budget because we're not really paying anybody that crazy amount of money so far. If I go here, we are paying Salvador Perez, and that'll continue to be our most expensive contract, at least for right now. But Jackie Bradley at 66 overall, 32, and he's in AAA. He's making $12 million. I'm not a fan of that. Zach Greinke, also don't know what to do with him. A lot of these guys, I hate to say it, but are probably not going to be here at the end of the season. Like for season 2, this team will look a whole heck of a lot different. Free agency, though. Oh, no. That puts the legends in the league. Oh, I thought that just put... Oh, that sucks. I thought that just put the... Whoops. I thought that just put the active guys. So see, there's Yamamoto. I thought that just put those guys in the league. I didn't think that put... Oh, this is bad. Okay, so I'm gonna have to restart this for the next episode. It's a good thing there's no gameplay in this episode. I thought that the non-active stuff just put the guys from the World Baseball Classic. I didn't think it put legends in here. Ooh, it's a good thing I went to this, because that is not good. That's a misstep by me. So I guess what we're gonna have to do is there's Munetaka Murakami. I guess what we're gonna have to do is we are gonna have to put those guys in ourselves. So I'm gonna have to import them into free agency in the season. So I will do that in between episodes. Now that I know, so it's a good catch by me that I saw this. But yeah, we're gonna have to put these guys in for the free agency pool myself. I'm gonna have to do it manually. Okay, so I didn't realize that, but we'll get it done. I'll fix it. So this episode, it may look a little. There was Lorenzo Kane. I guess we could bring him back. But for this first episode, we're not gonna do anything now, even more, because I'm gonna restart this save after the episode's over. But if we take a look at like the standings, we got to go against the Tigers, the Twins, the White Sox, and the Guardians. This division, in theory, is very wide open. White Sox, super inconsistent. Guardians tend to always make the playoffs, but never do anything after that. The Twins, up and down. Tigers, kind of bad. And then us. So if we could get a little bit better, we could win this division fairly easy, I would like to think. We'll have to see how we work it. The GM goals, obviously, we have to finish over 500 for the first year and then reach the postseason within our 3-year contract. I'm excited about this franchise. I'm excited about the potential of this team. I'm excited about where we go with this team, the moves that we have possibly to make, because I see some potential in Brady Singer. I'm not thinking he's going to be our ace, but he could be a 4 or 5 in the rotation. Out of all these pitchers, Brady Singer's probably the guy that we keep around because he's got that A potential and he's only 26, and he's a pretty good pitcher. Everybody else is up for grabs. Everybody else is up in the air. But I could certainly see Brady Singer on a championship team being our 4 or 5 in the rotation. Maybe even a 3 if he develops a lot. This is what the lineup looks like for opening day. I don't know if I like it that much. What's MJ Melendez's positions? He can play outfield. He's not really fast enough, in my opinion. I like to have fast outfielders, but I guess Isbell's only 66, so he's not much faster than MJ is. Oh, this team's bad. This team's bad for year one, but that's what you want. You don't want to take control of a team like the Yankees that are already pretty good. Oh, and speaking of Yankees, if we go to the Yankees roster, they have Anthony Volpe up on the Major League team. He made the Major League roster, or the opening day roster. So that's pretty cool. He's here. If we go to the A's, where are the A's at? That's the Angels, the A's, and we go to starting pitcher. Shintaro Fujinami is here for the A's. He comes over from Japan, so he's on the Major League roster for the A's. I put him in there. And finally, if we go to the Mets, they have Kodai Senga as their Japanese pitcher that they brought in. So those kind of guys are here. Let me know also in the comments if I forgot anybody, like a Kodai Senga type. If there's a player from overseas that came over this year that made a Major League team for opening day, let me know if I forgot them. Put their name down in the comments, and I will certainly add them to this roster when I redo the save, so that they can be on their team. And if we go to the Padres, because they are the Padres, if I could get over to them, and we go to their all roster, Fernando Tatis is here. Obviously, he's suspended in real life, so San Diego Studios did not put Tatis in the game. He's out for 80 games. But he's here, and I'm gonna try, depending on where this series is at, after the 80 game suspension is up, I'm gonna try to import him his actual player into the franchise, but maybe we're too far along by then. I don't know. 80 games, they'll finish in about June or July. It'll be about the halfway point of the season. So I don't know where we're going to be. I mean, this is in early April that we're uploading this first episode. So I don't know where we'll be in the franchise. We could be 3 seasons deep or 4 seasons deep. So maybe we won't do it, but he's here. He's just not the real Fernando Tatis. He's only somebody created him. I did think about adding him when he actually gets put into the game, but who knows? I don't know. I can't guarantee anything because I don't know where he'll be or where we'll be in terms of how far into the franchise we'll be. I don't want to ruin his stats by adding a real version of him. So, I don't know. I'll think about it as we get closer to the... We still got plenty of time. He's still got, 70-something games left to go in his suspension. So, we still got plenty of time to debate over it and think about it. But that is going to do it for this first episode. I hope you guys are excited. This is going to be my main franchise rebuild, just like the Reds were. But don't worry. I've got other awesome content and other series and stuff on the channel. We started up a Road to the Show. So, I'm really excited about that. That is already a couple episodes deep, I think. I've also got Diamond Dynasty that I'm excited about. I don't know how consistent that's going to be, but I do have it on there. So if you want to go check that out, if that's more your thing. Don't expect anything great from me online. I'm not the greatest online player. I'm not the greatest player in general, but certainly not online. But I think, and it's also a No Money Spent series. So if you want to go check that out, that's also on the channel. And I've got a couple extra things that are secret right now that I'm going to bring to the channel in the near future. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button to don't miss out on anything. But that is going to do it for episode 1 of the Kansas City Royals franchise rebuild. I hope you guys are excited. I know I am. I want to build this team back up to what they used to be when they won the World Series. And hopefully we can get Salvador Perez one more World Series ring before he retires. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.